Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is CK with CK's Antics National Holidays. Today is Thursday, December 17th. We are 1 week out. Yes, we are. 1 week out from Christmas. Aren't you excited? I'm so excited. Santa's coming. Oh my goodness. But you're not here to talk about that. You are here to learn about national holidays. So, what do we have on the calendar today? Well, this is it. National Maple Syrup Day. As you can see, it's highlighted. I love anything that's regarding food. So those are always fun days to talk about. And then, of course, we have National Device Appreciation Day and Wright Brothers Day. I'm pretty sure you have an idea of what Wright Brothers Day is. If you don't, that's okay. You'll find out soon enough. So we might as well jump right into this national holidays fun. All right, here we go. Okay, first up is National Device Appreciation Day. You may have a gist of what this is by just the title alone, obviously appreciating our devices, which is true. That's really what this day is about. But one of the best ways to make sure we do appreciate those devices is by insuring them. So we're going to go through the history of insurance. Sounds like fun, right? Oh, trust me, it will be. I promise. You're going to learn something. You have to learn something. Unless you're super wicked Jeopardy smart, then you probably know all this stuff. But I learn something every time I get ready for these national holidays. So here it is, 2000 BCE. The first sort of, if you want to call it insurance. It wasn't called insurance, but this is what they did. Mariners shipping goods would actually divide their shipping amongst several ships. One, in the event of, treacherous waters, such as storms or, of course, pirates, if something were to happen with one of their ships, it wouldn't completely decimate all of the goods that were being shipped because they were being spread out across several ships. So more than likely, they only lost a portion of their product, which is a really good way of insuring their stuff. So that was 200 BCE. Then 750 BCE, this is a fun one, the Hammurabi Code. This was the Babylonian king who came up with this. This code is 282 edicts, basically rules of the if-then statements of if this happens, then this. For example, if someone steals a loaf of bread, then they have to pay back X amount of money for whatever. So that was it. But in his Hammurabi Code included a form of insurance policy, which is pretty cool because it covered any shipping losses. So if a ship is lost and goods are lost, then blah, 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 whatever that blah, 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 blah is. But that's pretty cool. I think that's really cool. But yeah, the Hammurabi Code. Then 300 BCE, the Athenians created a maritime insurance, which then covered mariners who were shipping goods and anything that might have been lost at sea. So good on them. Fast forward a couple thousand, 1,000 plus years and change. 1676, we are in Hamburg, Germany, where they created the first insurance company that really was covered for housing against fire because there was a huge fire that broke out. They then said, hey, we need to establish something. And then they actually established their first Hamburg Fire Office, which again protects against the losses sustained through fires. And not far behind them, in 1681, in the wake of the Great Fire of London, London learned a similar lesson as Hamburg did. And because of that, there were 13,000 residences that were destroyed in this Great Fire. And the result of that, though, was the creation of the first successful insurance companies for houses. So that was kind of cool. And then now we are into present day 2020. And earlier this year, there was the launch of Traverse. Traverse is the first truly mobile insurance platform where you can literally insure your stuff with a click of your phone, right? Taking a picture just like that, and you can help get your stuff insured. So that's Traverse. And that is all the stuff that I know to help you appreciate your device today on National Device Appreciation Day. Okay, this is my favorite day to discuss right now, or favorite celebration of a day to discuss right now, and that is National Maple Syrup Day. Who doesn't like maple syrup? Come on now. It is very tasty. It comes in several different flavors, and it has, look at these cool little bottles. It has bottles shaped like maple leaves. Come on now. And it's like light colored or dark. For me, if it's going to be like an original like maple syrup, I'm going to go with a darker though. I like the darker maple syrups, vice the lighter ones. If I have to choose, that would be it. But anyways, you're not here to hear about my likes of maple syrup. You're here to learn about maple syrup. And trust me, you will learn some cool things about maple syrup. So let's start with some history stuff. 1850s, the introduction of a flat sheet pan in the sap boiling process actually helps evaporate much faster. So that's pretty cool, right? Let's get the maple syrup to the consumer a little bit faster, all right? We like this. 1940, the food rations during World War II gives cause for the Northeasterners, which are the folks that produce the maple syrup, forces them to basically substitute their normal sweeteners for maple syrup and maple sugar, which really I don't think is that bad. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be complaining if I have to forgo my sugar for another form of yum, tasty goodness sugar. Come on now. I mean, I think that is a win-win, but who knows? Just me. And then 1970s, technological advances in the decade throughout the 70s actually increased the efficiency in which maple syrup is produced, and it's through its process. So again, making things quicker, streamlining processes, getting us the product sooner. Great. Love it. 1970s. Then let's talk about the 2000s. What first was feared as an instance of chemical warfare, there was a mysterious appearance of a smell of maple syrup in the streets of New York City. Now, why you would think that maple syrup smell is the instance of chemical warfare is beyond me, but apparently they feared this. However, good news, it was not chemical warfare. They found that it originated from a nearby processing factory in New Jersey. Yeah. But for some reason, New Yorkers were like, maple syrup? We are being chemically attacked. Whatever. Anyways, now let's talk about some cool, well, at least I think are cool facts about maple syrup. Okay, here we go. Ready? Canada produces the vast majority of maple syrup. Well, I think we should all know that if you didn't know, right? I mean, dear Lord, the maple leaf is on the stinking flag of Canada, all right? So there's that, right? But they actually produce so much that their exports are valued at 270 million, actually over 270 million. That's a lot of money for maple syrup. Also, Canada is responsible for roughly 70% of the world's total supply of maple syrup. That's a lot. And I was surprised to find that even Japan and South Korea make maple syrup. I would have never guessed that. But apparently they've got trees that they can do that with. So cool. Cool. And approximately 40 gallons of maple sap makes 1 gallon of maple syrup. Wow. That's pretty staggering. That is very staggering. I think so. Wow. That is, and because of the efficiency process, I'm wondering what it used to be, if it used to take them more, or if any of their changes in process and streamlining has actually cut down the number of gallons needed to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. I don't know. And here's another fun, final fact about maple syrup. And here it is. Are you ready? In 2012, there were 6 million pounds of maple syrup that was stolen from a stockpile. That's right. There's a stockpile held at the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers, and it was stolen. 6 million pounds stolen. I don't know how you steal 6 million pounds, especially from a place that says Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers. Like this, like in my head, I'm thinking like the Fort Knox of maple syrup, right? Like it's like, I don't know. Anyways, I digress. Let's not do this. But anyways, so authorities managed to recover, catch all the villains. Most of them, there are over a dozen people that were part of this, but there is still a third of that is yet to be found. Yeah. So at least 2/3 of it has been recovered, but there's still a third of this. Of course, I'm pretty sure it's on the black market, maple syrup. But yeah, that is what I have about maple syrup, and I think it's really cool. I love maple syrup. How about you? Let me know. What do you like? Do you just like just straight maple syrup? Do you like it like a dark? Is there like a favorite brand? I mean, is there a difference to you between like Canadian maple syrup and like, United States, like Vermont and stuff that make maple syrup? Like, and have you ever gone and tapped your own tree? Because I'm curious to know, like, how does that work? That whole process, is really interesting. But anyways, that's all I have about maple syrup. And finally, the last holiday on today's National Day calendar is the Wright Brothers Day. The Wright Brothers, I'm sure most of you know, are the Orville and Wilbur brothers, who are the founders, really, of flight. So the Wright brothers, here's some cool kind of history. When you think about like what sparks someone to be like a pioneer in something, right? What was the story? Or even, they don't even be a pioneer, but someone who becomes famous, whether it's an actor or a famous artist or anything like that, or any type of, kind of fame. What drove them to that? Is it circumstances, or was it like someone just, gave words of encouragement, or was it, hey, someone gave them a gift and they just took it and ran with it, and everything now was around that? And the reason why I go and talk about this is because the Wright brothers' father, he actually brought home a toy helicopter to them in 1878. And they actually attributed their love of this toy and flying and wanting to do this from that toy. Like everything was driven from that toy. They played with that toy so much, they literally played with it until it broke. So it just made me think, like, how you can inspire someone, just a small little gesture like that, right? You're just thinking you're getting your kids a toy, and all of a sudden the wheels in their little heads just start spinning away, and this dream develops, and now they go down in history as, the founders of aviation kind of thing. And I think that's just really, really cool, right? So anyways, I digress. So some more interesting kind of stuff as we talk about the Wright brothers is that in 1896, the German glider Otto Lichtenthal passed away in a gliding accident. But the Wright brothers were very much interested in watching what was happening kind of in that aviation realm. And they actually were watching this German glider and realized that, how he was doing this was the right approach. Obviously, it was sad that he passed away, but they kind of continued down that path to flying, of how gliding is going to help them get into the flying of a machine kind of thing. And so they continued to work on understanding gliding, to the point that finally, on December 17th, 1903, the historic moment that I think we've all seen in the image right here is the first flight. The first flight, which was done by Orville, it was done at 10:35 a.m. in Devils Hill, North Carolina. He flew 120 feet in 12 seconds at a speed of 6.8 miles an hour. And then they did 2 other flights after that on that day. So that was like, I think that's just like really cool. So that is why we're celebrating Wright Brothers Day today, because this is the day of that historic first flight. And in 1911, Orville Wright continues to use the glider in gliding flights to conduct safety and stabilization test at the Outer Banks, where he soars for a total of 9 minutes and 45 seconds, setting a record which was held for almost 10 years. So that's pretty cool, right? And then, of course, I always thought North Carolina was the birthplace, the flight of aviation, all that kind of stuff, first flight. But I found out there's a battle brewing between 2 states, and those states are North Carolina and Ohio. So North Carolina says first in flight, and Ohio says birthplace of aviation, and they both kind of fight over who truly owns the right to basically the first flight. Because you see, the Wright brothers actually lived in Dayton, Ohio. They started their stuff in Dayton, Ohio. They built their plane, their aircraft, all their stuff. All that work was done in Dayton, Ohio. They just happened to be flying in North Carolina. So, yeah, so that one for me, after learning all that, I think I'm going to have to side. I think I'm going to have to side with Dayton, Ohio. Like, Ohio, to me, after knowing this, and after understanding kind of the history behind it, I think Ohio gets the rights to birthplace of aviation as well as first flight. Yeah, I think they own that right now. I don't know. That's just my take. Let me know where you stand. Who should own the right? And yeah, let me know. And that, folks, is all I have for the Wright Brothers Day and all I have for the national holidays for today. So if you are liking these videos, make sure to go ahead, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And of course, I'll see you all again right back here tomorrow for another round of CK's Antics. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.